and I've talked enough. I'm going to throw it over to the woman who is the sunshine on a snowy, blustery day, Miss Catherine Lash.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. This is amazing. I'm so thrilled to see that people have been to our other seminars. Just so you know, they're all on the Wedding Co website under the Summit RSVP. So feel free to, if you haven't seen them, to go back and take a look because they've been really amazing. This is the first time that we've done this. And it's actually been so much fun. And I've just enjoyed really sharing the Wedding Co members with everybody. There's such an incredible group of people who really just want to share their knowledge. And that's what we need right now in this time of COVID. So I would like you to, in the chat for me, or for all of us, if you could just tell us if you, number one, did anybody get engaged at Valentine's Day? We'd love to know that. But also too, we'd love to know if you have a wedding date or if you don't. So you could just put yes, no, you can put yes in the date. That would be great. It's just kind of nice to, it's nice for us to gauge where people are at and if people are actually booking dates right now. So like Jenny said, feel free to chat away. So I'm just going to start with a little introduction about micro weddings and why I knew that this was an important topic to cover and why we have all these great panelists here to help you. COVID has reminded us of two things. It's reminded us of who we value, and it's reminded us of what we value. And I say that because I want you to, while you're planning your wedding, it's really important that you remember what you are doing, why you are having a wedding. One, you're having a wedding to make it official. The second reason you're having a wedding is to honor those people who got you to that day. And that is a really important thing to remember. And I think right now, if a lot of you really thought of that wholeheartedly, you could probably take 10 people off your list right now. It's really important that you remember the reason you are doing this is you are honoring the people who got you there. And the last thing is the people who got you there are there to remind you that they are the people that will then support you on this journey of marriage. That again will remind you and tell you who should be at your wedding. And I think this is a really nice place to start because we're talking about intimate weddings and we're going to change the vocabulary from micro to intimate because it's something that we don't want to always have associated with COVID. And that's like the buzzword for COVID. And we really believe that intimate weddings are a really beautiful way to celebrate, but to honor the people who got you there. And just if you can remember that throughout this seminar, but also moving forward when you're making your plans. Okay, now that I've said that, I think it's important that you know who is on this panel of amazing people. So I am going to introduce everybody. They are going to wave their hands and their names are also in the corner. If you scroll over the individual windows, you can see their names there. So we have Brian Benincourt and Rayanne Hollies, principal photographers and owners of 3B Photography. 3B Photography documents your intimate wedding or elopement with cinematic artistry. We have Adiola Dami, owner and lead planner at Celebration Events Management. Celebration Events Management specializes in African and Caribbean weddings in Ontario, Canada. Michelle Marie Kelly, owner and lead florist of Michelle Marie Kelly Floral Design. Michelle is a Toronto-based floral designer specializing in modern and romantic florals for weddings, events, and editorials. Melinda Norman Lee, owner of JJL Events. JJL Events is your turnkey event solution specializing in outdoor events. Luis Morera, creative producer at Images Life Media. Images Life Media is a Toronto-based production company with offices in New York, LA, and Toronto. For over 25 years, they have been producing wedding films that touch the heart and commercial work that moves the mind. Jennifer Prince, sales manager at the Art Gallery of Ontario. Jennifer is a 20-year industry professional who has spent the last 6 years making matrimonial masterpieces transpire at the Art Gallery of Ontario. Kirsten Rezik, owner and lead planner of Noble Events. Noble Events is a fine art planning and design boutique that provides personal service from the moment they meet you until your last dance. Last but not least, Erin Stewart. Erin is the director of sales at the Gladstone Hotel. The Gladstone is more than a venue. It's your creative urban wedding destination, perfect for couples looking to do something a little different. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm actually going to put you on the spot for a second. I've done this in the last few seminars, and if you did your homework and watched the last few seminars, you would know what I'm about to do, but this is a rapid fire. I'm going to ask each of you to describe your company in one word. This is to warm you up. So Jennifer from the AGO, let's go. Tell us about
exclusive.
Nice. Adiola.
Exciting.
Michelle.
Fresh.
Nice. I like that. Melinda.
Family.
Nice. Lewis.
Creative.
Brian. Ryan.
Alternative.
Yeah. Kirsten.
Personal.
Personal. And Erin.
I'd have to go with vibrant.
Nice. And new.
True. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so the way this is going to roll out is I'm just going to ask each one of the panelists to answer a question. Oh, here we go. We already have questions. And then I'm going to throw in some of these questions that we're getting right now. So let's start with Kirsten. Kirsten, some couples see a smaller wedding as a loss, their dream wedding gone. You believe smaller is actually bigger. Can you please explain?
Yeah, I love this question so much. And I'm gonna kind of talk to everybody the way that I've been talking to my couples who have had to face downsizing. Things don't replace people, first and foremost. You can't replace a loved one, and that's really important to know. But at the same time, an intimate wedding has so much opportunity. I mean, the plethora of vendors that you're even going to hear from today are going to speak to this, but the amount of little intimate details, the amount of things that you can not compromise on. So your venue, the food, the aesthetic, the florals, there's so many details that perhaps if you were looking at a larger event, you would have had to compromise on some things. There's some things you would have had to say, I can't do this. I can't do this larger package. I can't splurge on this one item. I can't get the custom dress that I've been eyeing. And instead, in this case, because this is ultimately about celebrating you, every single decision that you get to make, every single financial choice that you have can be a real celebration of you, because you don't have to worry about 6 people who maybe was an invite from your parents, or it was something that was for somebody else. And now you get to drill down and say, you know what? No, I'm going to make this choice about you, and I'm going to make this choice about me. And so we're going to get that cutlery. We're going to do that floral installation that we've been eyeing. I'm going to go and get that dress or that suit, or I'm going to pamper myself. And like I said, it doesn't replace people, but it celebrates you. And that's, as a bride, I know how fleeting that moment was for me looking back And so there are some choices that I made for other people. And so I want to encourage everybody, especially those that might be grieving the loss of somebody who can't actually attend, turn to each other and ask, what will be a true celebration of us, and how do we go about doing that? And I really want to encourage people to think about it that way, as opposed to being sad because they're not going to get exactly what they originally envisioned. Make lemonade out of lemons. Like, really, this is the time to really embrace that saying.
Kirsten, we've had two people now ask us, what would you define as the number of people as an intimate wedding?
I mean, it really depends. Different people will give you different answers. For Noble, we think of capping that at 50 people. So which works within the limitations of the restrictions the government gives us. But even before COVID, 50 people to us was considered intimate, right? Because I mean, think about it. You're actually, with 50 people, able to get up and talk with everybody for long periods of time. Think about the proximity to yourself and the guest, right? So even if the mask didn't exist, even if things weren't, there wasn't mandate, think about what intimate would have looked like for you, and how you would have been able to spend your time. And if you can spend your time with each guest, you're probably in the intimate party wedding zone.
Great, thank you. We're going to go to Adiola now. So based on what Kirsten just said, some people assume that because they're having a smaller wedding or a more intimate wedding, that they might not need a wedding planner. Can you give some insight on to why you think it doesn't matter, size doesn't matter, on why you should have someone helping you produce the event?
Well, first off, I want to say thank you, Catherine, for bringing us together. This is an amazing summit, and it's important that we're here to talk to our couples about what they might be thinking and going through. So everyone who's getting married, congratulations. To answer the question, I believe strongly that irrespective of the size of the wedding, we all know what's going on. We're living in this pandemic. Whether you're having an intimate wedding of 50 guests or 25 or 10 or 100 people, it's a wedding, and a wedding is it's a special day. You do it just hopefully one shot, right? You have to get it right. So it's important that you try and consider, first of all, what value does a wedding planner add to your wedding, right? Wedding planners are people who are already experienced. They live and breathe weddings. So they're taking the guesswork out of it for you. So irrespective of how many guests that you have, you want to have that. I mean, we're considered the fixers, right? We're considered the sanity savers. We know the vendors, we have the relationships. So we're saving you time. Sometimes we're saving you money as well. So it's important that you have that professional. You're not trying to guess and do it all yourself. Even if it's a backyard wedding or a wedding in your living room, you'll be surprised because vendors, and you're going to be hearing from different vendors here. I know that photographers, videographers, they feel more comfortable when they know that there is a project manager, AKA your wedding planner, on board helping you with your wedding. Also, it's important to note that now that we're doing intimate weddings, things are now more specialized. Things are now more intentional because now you're not trying to cater to 250, 300 people. You're catering to 50 people, 20 people, whatever the number is. Now everybody's a VIP. Everybody wants that white glove service. So you don't want, out of all the hundreds of people you've chosen this select few to be there to witness your wedding. So it's important that you make sure that they are catered to from the very beginning. You don't want to be worried about, have they had their food? Are things served hot? That's what the wedding planner's job is. So it's important to keep that at the back of your mind, that the fact that you're scaling down your guest list or scaling down the numbers doesn't necessarily mean that you should scale down on the service and the quality that you're giving to your guests. So wedding planners, they're important, irrespective of the size.
But also too, Adiola, I mean, if we are going to start to have weddings, it's real. I'm going to assume wedding planners, I would assume all the vendors, venues especially too, you have to be so on point with all the restrictions or all the safety practices.
Correct.
And, you know, this then becomes more about the world and about everybody than it does just about your celebration. We really, really need to make sure that
People are
we're
safe.
practicing the protocol.
Yes. Safety is key, very important in the world we live in right now.
And we
And,
don't want to be, the bride and groom or the couple do not want to be the ones policing that.
That's true. That's true. There's a lot we can go on and on,
I know,
but you know,
I
to
know.
keep it brief, it's important that, you know, you want that someone who's going to be the front line, the mediator, making sure everyone is safe, keeping all the precautions. And also there's something we have to do now. It's about contact tracing. So we have to make sure we have all the contacts on file for 30 days. So really, if anything goes awry, you don't want to be the one making those calls. So your wedding plan, we're there before, during, and even after.
Yeah. Thank you. That was really great. Okay, we're going to go to Jennifer. Jennifer, the AGO is known for lavish affairs. I know you are experts at small, intimate gatherings as well. Could you give us a sense of what those look like?
Yes. Well, thank you for having me as well. And congratulations to all our couples. I'm happy that we could all be here to offer some assistance during this weird time. So yes, the AGO is known for doing large scale events, but we do a lot of little things too, and people might not realize that. And in fact, there's been a trend over the last few years to have a little bit smaller events. I'll say the sort of key number that I've seen over the last couple of years has actually been 80 people. So we've been on a bit of a downturn because I think our couples are paying for the wedding themselves, and they have been valuing who's been attending their event. And they want it to be custom, and they want it to be the people there that they value. So we do have experience in doing smaller events. I've done a dinner party for 20 people. I've done weddings for 50 people. So it's not new to us. So we have used our rooms in different and unique ways, depending on what our couples have asked us for. And aside from being in the actual gallery, what some people might not realize is we've also got the bistro restaurant, and there's private dining in the restaurant as well. So we've got a fun, funky vibe for some smaller events if people are not looking for the grand space. However, I think there's a bit of glamour to having a little event in this massive, massive space. I've joked my entire career that I've wanted to do a wedding for 2 people with a big budget, and I actually might get to do it.
Yes, you might.
So I think at this point now, like our couples can really customize sort of using that budget. Like maybe they were planning for 200 to 300 people, and now they're going to have 50 people, and maybe there was still that budget there. Maybe there isn't, but maybe that budget is still there. And maybe now we can look at doing a tasting menu and top shelf champagne and wine pairings, you know, and splurging a little bit on some of the things that have been touched on already. You know, maybe we do really cool chairs and great cutlery and custom linens, and we think about the event like a style shoot. You have these amazing photos and videos and these great memories afterwards. And then also within the AGO, like one of the things that we can offer is art tours. Like with a smaller group, you know, maybe we can take them to go see something special and have that really cool custom moment as part of the wedding. Or maybe you hire someone to do a really cool performance, or bring in a great band still. I wouldn't cut that out. Also, you could buy your guests a really cool gift, like maybe at the retail shop, or give everybody a piece of art or a print or something. Again, we sort of think about, you know, scaling down the number of people, but not the experience itself. Or maybe you give your guests membership to the gallery. And then, or maybe you become a member at a contributing level, and maybe you have a curator come speak to your guests. So again, there's different ways that we can sort of, you know, take all these different unique experiences and still make this an amazing moment, and not think that just because I have a smaller group, I can't use a big space.
Amazing. What is that space that's out on Dundas Street? What is that big, what do you call the big, long?
With Galleria Italia.
Okay, that is my dream place.
And we have been hosting a lot of smaller events in that space, because we can have the cocktail reception and the dinner in this grand room, and host everything in one space, and then not move within the gallery, but still have an opportunity to enjoy the art and the architecture.
I think what's interesting too, and I think we can touch on this with Erin as well, is catering on site. Like that is just, you know, it's a bit of one of those things that you actually don't have to think of.
Yes, we do try to be turnkey in that sense. We're really one-stop shop, that we have our own culinary team and we can fully customize the menu. So whether it's a sit down, whether it's, like I said, a tasting menu, whether you want something more stand-up, cocktail, tapas, food stations, again, at this point, whatever our clients can dream up, we do. And that's why we actually don't have any set packages. We customize every single event at the AGO.
Yeah, so I mean, again, it comes down to that customization. And there's so many unique things you can do at a place like the AGO. I mean, there are many venues, but it's just, I love that, you know, you're kind of known as this beautiful sort of lovely place that people visit, but to have a smaller gathering there, some people don't think about it, but it's a really good opportunity.
Yeah, it's an exclusive way to use the gallery and have all the art at your disposal for anything.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And that takes me to Erin. So
Hello.
Erin,
Yes.
the Gladstone Hotel is not only a place to host your wedding, it's a destination for intimate wedding weekends.
Mhm.
With all the facilities, could you walk us through what a weekend wedding would look like and feel like?
Absolutely. First off, I wanted to say thank you for having me, Catherine, and congratulations to all of our couples. It's, you know, a challenging time during a pandemic to plan a wedding, but I will say firsthand that, you know, all these smaller, intimate micro weddings, in my opinion, end up being a fantastic celebration. Just like everyone else has talked about, you're able to really spend your day with people that you love and put your money towards maybe a fourth course or a gift for your guests. So the Gladstone is gone under a very extensive renovation. So for those that don't know, we were acquired last year just before the pandemic struck. And I like to call it that we've gone under a little nip and tuck and taken about 10 or 15 years off of our overall look. So the things that you love about the Gladstone have stayed the same, but we've sort of improved all our different areas, our restaurant, our ballroom, all our rooms are getting a major makeover, which is very much needed. So I feel that the client that is booking the Gladstone not only is booking the venue, but they're booking the location. You know, the Queen West neighborhood is really got a great sense of community. You know, people that are creative types into arts and culture usually book the hotel. And what I like about our venue is myself and our team are really there to customize your experience. So not only do we have various packages and things that we can, you know, talk to you about, we can also customize things. So a weekend at the Gladstone, the first few things that come to mind for me are our hotel is famous for a lot of our in-house programming, such as our karaoke and our live music. So why not kick off your weekend with cocktails in our Melody Bar and have your friends and family do karaoke? It's a great way to break the ice and get everyone sort of, you know, especially if some of your guests don't know each other. Just it's a fun little activity that we do. And similar to the AGO, we also offer art tours. So perhaps the Saturday while the wedding party is getting ready, your guests could take a stroll to see different areas such as Parkdale or walk to the Ossington Strip, or they could stay at the hotel and do a tour with our director of exhibitions. And then, of course, you know, we have your wonderful wedding night that would be in our newly renovated ballroom. And then we would have cocktails spilling into our lobby bar while we flip the room and head back into the ballroom for a fantastic night of wonderful food and then dancing until the wee hours. And then I think what we're most known for is our drag brunch. So why not have your close friends and family on the Sunday after your big day have a boozy brunch and a private drag show, which I think is a fun activity for all. Typically, our drag brunch has a 3 or 4 week waiting list. However, I think that'll probably double or triple now with the renovation when we finally open our doors. So I think it would be a lot of fun to incorporate sort of the more playful, fun things that we do at the hotel.
I think it's, I think having the opportunity to, again, talking about these, if you're having a smaller wedding, you can give your guests like a weekend away.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think, you know, if you have a list of, I don't know how, I can't remember how many hotel rooms you have, but, you know, if you literally had 10 guests or 20 guests, like what a gift and what a thank you to be able to host them at a hotel for a whole entire weekend and really spoil them. It's just another way to customize that and honor them, and make it fun, right? Like really, really have the opportunity to hang out as opposed to, you know, going through a whole day in a blur, but really hang out and have some fun together. So,
and I will add one more thing that, you know, these weekends away or weddings, you know, special days, especially when it comes to intimate weddings, you can do events all week. One of the things that we've just launched is our midweek mixer package or midweek matrimony package, which first off, you're going to get a much better deal if you book Monday through Thursday. And I think given everything that's happened with the pandemic, most people don't think it's odd to now get invited to a wedding on a Thursday, or even this summer we were doing events on Tuesdays. So, you know, think of what your budget is, and we can definitely make it work any day of the week, which I would say if things look a lot like they did last summer, we'll be very, very busy because there are so many people. There's such a demand to get married, especially with all the restrictions and things changing. So most people are open to off-peak days.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, don't discount doing something unique, right? There are some silver linings to all of this. So thank you, Erin. That was great.
Yeah.
Louis, during COVID, you had to switch gears a little and started helping couples live stream their celebrations, so those who couldn't be there in person could still attend. Could you tell us how the couple felt knowing those who couldn't attend in person were able to participate, how they felt, and do you see this being a viable option after COVID?
Hi, Catherine, and thank you for having me on this panel. And again, congratulations to all of our couples. So, you know, certainly COVID has pushed us all apart physically, but I think it's also created this need for all of us to socially connect with each other. And certainly during a milestone event like a wedding, a family milestone event like a wedding, it's important for us to include as many people as we can in these events. And while they can't be there physically right now, they can certainly join virtually. And this is obviously especially important for those of us who are most vulnerable to COVID. I can tell you that the reaction that we get from people who are able to participate from afar is incredible. When we do these live streaming events, we create a little private link for people, so they can log in and they can not only watch the wedding, but they can also comment. And so when all this is done, we give all these comments to our couples, and the love just pours out of these things. And it's a beautiful thing to read, and it really just moves our clients to tears. As far as the viability of live streaming after the pandemic, I think there's always going to be a need for it. It's always been there in the past, but I think in the past it was either, you know, that the services were a bit subpar, or maybe it was too expensive. I think now things have gotten, you can do a lot more with a lot less. And certainly the venues have gotten a lot better from the technical perspective. So it makes live streaming a lot easier. And also, you know, you can coordinate your event slightly so that it can change a little bit, so that people who are viewing makes it a lot more enjoyable from their perspective as well.
Amazing. I like the hair went up on my arm when you started talking about the comments and how you can like share those with the couple afterwards. Such a great option. And you know, we're not kidding ourselves. We might be going into a bit of this in the summer. And I think if people really are thinking of cutting their guest list down, this is a really important thing to think about, because people still want to be involved. And I think it's just amazing. So they're not there physically, but if you know they're watching, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we've had brides who are, they'll actually interact with their guests as the whole thing is happening. So as people are leaving comments, brides and grooms will be on the camera, thanking people and interacting with people. And it's a beautiful thing. I mean, there's people all over the world who want to be able to connect. We're in the most multicultural city in the world, so it's natural that we're going to have people from all over the place that are going to want to be parts of these events that are happening in Toronto. So, you know, being able to live stream it, I think, is a really important thing for people to do. And I think, you know, moving forward, there's going to be the real life component and also the online component, so that people who can't make it can participate in some way.
Yeah, and that's something now you offer when you're coming to do the video, you can offer the live streaming as well. Amazing. Thank you so much, Louis.
You're welcome.
Brian Rianne, you have had the opportunity to be a part of many micro weddings and elopements this past summer. What was the feeling at these weddings, and how are they different from the pre-COVID weddings that you were photographing? Take it away.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Catherine, for having us. We're really excited to be here and to talk about intimate weddings, because it is definitely our bread and butter. And yeah, last year was obviously, things shifted a lot, and we were, you know, working with people who had either had to change their plans or, you know, put something together quite last minute because they, you know, saw an opportunity to get married, and that's what they did. So part of it is that we've always done intimate weddings. We've always been a part of elopements and smaller weddings. And by smaller, like, you know, I've heard Kristen say that it's, you know, 50 people in terms of guest count for certain vendors and things like that. And for us, we really see it like kind of in the same way, that if you have the opportunity to interact with all your guests, then that's kind of that sweet spot of an intimate wedding. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think like the biggest difference as photographers is that it's a more immersive experience as a wedding. You know, like the Gladstone Hotel, for example, like they're saying, they can make a whole weekend experience out of it. And as photographers, we're there for that whole, you know, story and narrative from beginning to end. And, you know, it just allows people the opportunity to settle in and kind of really, you know, get grounded in what's going on. And it doesn't just kind of happen within a 12-hour period. People really ease into it. And by the end, like the after party day usually is such a cool interaction of different characters and personalities of individuals that would otherwise probably never get the chance to meet each other. And by having a smaller wedding, it really opens the doors for all these unpredictable connections and moments to really happen organically. And for the photography aspect, it just, you know, we just capture so many more authentic and, you know, genuine moments because there's more of them going on, because, you know, there's less of a production involved in the wedding day. It's really,
People have the time.
yeah, and people have the time to really interact with each other. And there's just the opportunity to really get involved in the experience in a more intentional way.
Intentional, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the biggest difference between the two.
Did you find that you weren't there as long? Were people's weddings shorter?
No, like we would pretty much shoot like the same amount of time. But I think what's going on is that there's just people are taking their time throughout the day. The getting ready isn't like a quickly rushed thing. You know, they can do their thing in the morning because there isn't the hurry to be somewhere else or to move on to the next thing. And that allows for them to create more unique, interesting experiences amongst them and their friends and families. So there's actually more to document, ironically, than a bigger wedding, because there's just a lot more intention in the conversation and the interactions that people are having. And that's a big part of like what we're trying to capture and document on the wedding day, besides, you know, beautiful pictures of the bride and groom and their friends and family. But we really want to capture like the moments that made that day unique and memorable for the people involved.
Well, and I think too, when you've really narrowed your guest list down to those people that you really want to honor, that's a whole different connection, right? And to be able to photograph those really intimate connections must just be amazing. What a gift. Huh?
Yeah, it's great.
Definitely. And even like Louis said, with all the live streaming that was going on last year, like just seeing the emotion people were feeling with the people who were there, but also with the people who they cared that weren't there was, you know, it was pretty next level. And, you know, just being able to capture those moments for people is extremely important. And
yeah, and it's not to say that those things don't happen at larger weddings, because they do, but you just have to, you know, dig a little harder because there's just so much going on that there's less opportunity for sometimes for people to actually like allow themselves the opportunity to feel something or think about things, because it's just such a whirlwind and it happens so fast. So when things are a little bit more laid back and relaxed and slowed down, people really get emotionally invested in like the people there and what's really happening. And it's pretty obvious, at least from our perspective, from our experience. So you know, for people who really want to feel something on a deeper level for their wedding, less is for sure more in terms of the amount of people that are there.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Melinda, on to you. Many think a quick pop-up backyard wedding will be simple. What are some of the important details they need to consider related to your outdoor event experience? We hear it all the time, right? I'm just gonna have a wedding in my backyard and it's gonna be really easy. And we're just gonna do this, but what do they need to remember, Melinda?
You only want me to talk for a couple of minutes, right?
I know. We can't even get into the porta potties, can we?
Yeah. Well, thanks for including me, Catherine. I appreciate that. And congratulations to everyone out there who's looking at intimate weddings and ways of getting married this year with everything else going on. Backyard wedding can be simply beautiful and beautifully simple, or it can be as extravagant and as exorbitant as you want. Some things to remember is that you are essentially building a room that you're adding to your home in the backyard. And if you think about it from the ground up, you can put a tent up and just have it for shade from the sun or shelter from the rain or snow. You can done it from a flooring to lighting. You need to worry about your temperature controls, power, washrooms, a lot of stuff. And that's not including your table and chairs and linens and cutlery and everything else. So there's a lot of moving parts, and you need to pay a lot of attention to detail depending on how involved you want to get in a backyard wedding. But the thing to remember is a tent is a blank slate. So regardless of how intimate it is, whether you just want to recreate your living room or your formal dining room inside the tent, it's going to be yours. You can design it however you want. You can pick that favorite silverware like Kirsten and Adiola were talking about earlier. You can make all these decisions that make this completely yours. Have that fancy chandelier, pick the color of carpet you want, everything. So it can be phenomenal and all yours.
And it's just really important that and this is what I love about Melinda, is that the foundation of that has to be so solid. Whether it's just, I'm telling you, whether it's just a tent, you don't just throw a tent up for a wedding. Like, it has to be really professionally done. And I really wanted to make sure people knew that that you just don't, you have to really think about what people are standing under, the logistics, what if it's windy? And I just think, you know, coming into the summer, people might be thinking, you know what, we'll just have 10 people in the backyard and we'll put the tent up and we'll hope for the best, right? And if you're going to consider that, have someone on site who knows how to strap a tent down, right?
Absolutely, yes.
I know it's not glamorous, but it's one of those things that the planners will take care of, that someone like, you know, Melinda will come in, and it's not the glorious part of it, but it's what makes the foundation of it all work. And it's what makes, like, the florist be able to put the flowers in properly. Like, it's so key. But you're right, it is a blank slate, and it's pretty exciting to host 10 people under a tent in a backyard like that. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Can I just answer that question about flooring?
Yes.
It depends on how long you're going to be in the tent and how dry it is. Some people have good drainage, so even if it rains the day before, you don't have to worry about a soft ground. I prefer a floor because tables and chair legs can sink ground. People on their high heels could twist an ankle. You can put a dance floor down. It's just safer. It's the most expensive part about putting a tent up in your backyard. So it's definitely a budget item, but I just think it's safer all around. It can save a lot of accidents, and it also helps if it is windy or rainy, then it gets everybody up off the damp ground, and it's a lot more comfortable for them.
Great. Thank you for answering that question.
Thanks for asking it.
Thanks, Melinda. That's awesome. I know people are like, oh my gosh, my backyard wedding, porta potties. Okay, Michelle, last but not least, but we saved the beauty to the end, flowers. Flowers are such an important part of a wedding. If you're hosting a wedding for 10 to 20 people or 50, what are some of the personalized statements you can make with flowers?
Sure, yeah. So when it comes to micro weddings, I think it's important for couples to keep their decisions intentional and reflective of, who you are as a couple. So for example, if your style is simple and sleek, maybe don't do a big oversized bouquet. Or, if you tend to gravitate towards color and there's lots of color in your wardrobe and your home decor, then make sure you have color included in your flower arrangements for your day, because your wedding, and more specifically your wedding flowers, should be a reflection of you or in your couple, like the couple that you're a part of. And I think for many couples, especially this past year, who have had to pivot from larger events to more intimate gatherings, there has been an emphasis on ceremony decor, because that's the one piece that is still critical to the event. So you're seeing people putting or keeping their budgets quite relatively high for their ceremony decor, because that's going to be a focal point for a lot of their photos, and it can remain kind of like this installation throughout the remainder of your event, that other photos will be it will be featured in other photos with other family members, and etc. And I think you can also personalize these ceremony pieces by working with what you have. So for example, you're getting married in your backyard. Maybe you have this like stunning willow tree in your yard. Instead of trying to work around it or hide it, work with your florist to maybe come up with a really creative like installation that climbs up the tree, or hang some things from it. You know what I mean? Like really embrace your personal space that you're going to be transforming into your ceremony. Because I think at the end of the day, a micro wedding doesn't mean micro plans or micro flowers. You can still have the wedding you want. In fact, you probably have more time and money to put towards it. So I think there's lots of ways to personalize. You just have to work with your vendors and let them be creative.
I love that. What I love is if you're working within your own space, highlight something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and if it's a small amount of people, yeah, you're going to use that background as for your photos. I think that's a great idea. And the tree, and Melinda's there with her tent, and you put the tree with the flowers going on.
There's lots of fun things you can do outside, inside, anywhere. There's lots of fun things you can do.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. So we have a couple questions here. I know that couples are worried about cancellations, having to cancel their weddings. Have any of you had to deal with cancellations? And well, I know you have. And how have you dealt with that? Does anybody want to go first? Put your hand up, Jennifer. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Of course. With last year, the AGO's been closed to events, so we were fortunate enough that about half of our couples have postponed to next year and found new dates, and some are now starting to move to 2022, the larger events, and we're just moving their deposits forward. And the couples who needed to cancel, we had quite a number of weddings that were going to be destination weddings in Toronto, where everyone was traveling to the city, and just with the borders closed and quarantine and all of those, restrictions, they needed to cancel. Now the AGO is in a position where we were able to refund deposits, but we did really try really hard with many of our couples to move forward. I have a few who they have to get married to the AGO. That's just what they want. They're willing to wait. no matter how many people they can have or not have. So we're just trying to, be human, be kind, listen to their concerns. And really at the end of the day, I'm doing whatever feels right for that couple.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak to that? Erin?
So I have to agree with Jennifer. It's definitely a challenging time for venues and of course the couples. So my advice is to make sure when you're booking anything, look at your contract and read through it. And I think everyone's looked at things differently now because of the pandemic. But of course, at the end of the day, we want to be good partners. And the Gladstone was in a similar boat where I would say about half our clients wanted to postpone, and then the other half did want refunds. And we absolutely honored those refunds of deposits. For the couples that perhaps have gone from their second and now third date within the venue, we're just being as flexible as possible. So your wedding went from 120 and now it's at 80, now it's down to 50, now it's back up to 70, and so on and so forth. We'll work with you to ensure that you're happy, and obviously we'll change your event order to reflect whatever the numbers are, because restrictions are changing on a daily, weekly basis. So we work with each couple to figure out what the best plan is. And also we do have a sister property, the View Hotel. So we were fortunate enough that people that weren't able to do indoor weddings at the Gladstone this summer were able to use the outdoor space there.
Great, thank you. Does anybody else want to comment on that? I have a few more questions we can go to. Louis, is there any way couples on a budget could live stream their weddings themselves?
You can do it yourself. You are limiting yourself in a way because whatever you're going to be able to do with your phone or your laptop isn't going to match what I can do with my camera. For example, if you're watching what's happening now, you can see I've kind of softened up the background a little bit, and I can play with the bokeh on the camera. My camera is going to give me a lot of options that your cell phone or your laptop just won't give you. I can control the element. I can control the light when I'm outside instead of being, subjected to what Mother Nature is throwing at me. I can control the light in a lot of different ways with all the gear that I have. You can certainly do it yourself. Just keep in mind, from a guest experience, like if somebody's going to be walking around with their cell phone, like live streaming it, or a laptop or an iPad, that's not going to be so much fun. And also you're going to get like a really flat image. You're going to miss a lot of the interactivity that something like what I'm going to be able to do for you is going to provide. But yeah, you can do it yourself. But certainly, you can do, like I was saying before, you can do more with less now. If you're going to be adding live streaming to an already existing package with us, we can do that for a lot less, because all we're doing is maybe adding one fixed camera, so we always have the live stream going. And then there's a small piece of equipment. We're not bringing in a ton of gear unless you want to get into the larger two-way interactive pieces. Certainly that sort of stuff you would not be able to do on your own, unless you're a very tech savvy person, in which case, come and talk to me, because we're hiring.
And look at the lighting. He's got the best lighting in the whole panel. So there you go. Thanks, Louis. Kirsten, did you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I wanted to jump in on that. Louis is 100%. He just sold himself really, really well. And I have people I'm sending your way because it's 100% true. I always tell my couples when they come to me with DIY, if you're going to DIY, you're going to be the vendor that you didn't hire. You are not going to be the couple. You are going to be your AV, videographer, photographer, florist, event, whoever you did not hire, you are going to be them. And so the focus is going to stop being about you enjoying your day and having no stress. And it's going to be about, is the floral installation working? Is the camera working? Who's doing that? Who's managing that? Where is it? Did it fall? The wind is, don't do that to yourself.
Oh my God.
Do not do that to yourself. Love yourself enough to hire people that are experts and can do it for you. Okay? You deserve it. You are worthy of the vendors that you hire. Please
love
don't.
That you're going to be the vendor. Brilliant. Thanks, Kirsten. We have a quick question here. Why does planning look, what I think it's supposed to say, what does planning look like when we don't have any solid gathering numbers from the government? Is it best to have multiple guest lists with different numbers ready to go? That's an interesting idea. Does anybody want to?
Yeah, I can chime in
Yeah.
tonight. So from a wedding planner's perspective, what I've been encouraging my couples to do, because again, we're all living in this pandemic, there's no rule book, right? We're learning as we go. So what I'm encouraging them to do and what I'll be telling you to do tonight is have 3 lists. So we have an A list, which is 0 to 50 people. And then, so 0 to 50, which means your guest list might just be 25, might be 30. Depending on what the local and national regulations at the time of your wedding is, it's important to have multiple lists, just so you're prepared. Then your B list will then be the maybe up to 75 or up to 100. At this point, honestly, for 2021 couples, I'm encouraging them to just face reality and try not to go over 100. But if you feel like you're getting married in December or January, or you're a 2022 couple, then your C list can be your 200 guests or whatever number you want. So it is very smart to have multiple lists going. And in terms of how do you invite them, now that's another story. But the quick answer to that is you could either do the A list first. Okay, now if your wedding is still far ahead, if it's going to be people have to travel, they have to prepare, then you can send the save the dates. And as you get closer and things are clearer and you know what's going on and you realize, okay, I can't have the 300 people wedding, we can only have 100, then you can send a follow-up message to the people who will be physical guests, and then another follow-up to the people who did not make the cut. We call it the COVID cut. And hopefully you have a plan B for them. You've hired someone like Lewis, so that way they can still live stream and be a part of your wedding. So that's my short answer to that.
Yeah, and just make them very aware that this is actually what might happen, but that the person sticking with the date. This is the way it's going to work out. We hope you can come, but we might have to live stream you in.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we are running out of time, and it always goes so much faster than I think. I have one last question for all of you, and it's kind of a fun one, so let's have some fun with it. Micro weddings is the buzzword for 2020 and 2021. What would you like the buzzword to be for 2022? Jennifer, I'm sorry, but I'm going to start with you because
you're putting me on the spot. I haven't even thought that far ahead yet.
What is that buzzword?
2022. Oh, I want to be hopeful.
Hopeful weddings. Hopeful. Nice. Adiola, what's the buzzword?
Intentional weddings.
Yes. Thank you. Beautiful. Michelle. Oh, you're muted. Don't worry.
I was going to say it's kind of 2 words, but I'd say all together.
Okay.
All together. All together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Melinda.
I have a phrase. I was going to say celebrate with personal style.
Nice. Lewis.
I'm going to say in person.
Yes. Brian and Rianne.
Anything.
We don't know.
We're coming back to you.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Sorry, you cut out on my end. Can you repeat what you said? I'm so sorry.
Oh, the buzzword. Did you hear the question?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
Sorry. Micro weddings is the buzzword for 2022-21. What would you like the buzzword to be for 2022? Sorry.
I'm going to stick with my original pop-up question, personal. Yeah.
Erin?
Honestly, the only thing I can think of for 2022 is I'd like to hug people. So I know that's not the exact answer you wanted, but I miss hugs and smiles. So
there is no right or wrong answer. No right or wrong. Okay, Brian and Rianne, we're back. Let's make it a good one.
Go for it.
Easygoing. It's kind of one word.
Easygoing weddings.
So just to say, Brian and Rianne are getting married. They are engaged. Yay! So tell us something. Do you have a wedding date?
No.
No, it's a little complicated because a lot of people are postponing their weddings potentially, and
Right.
so we're still trying to figure it out. And we have something in mind that we want to do, and we don't know what the circumstances will be a year from now. But like my family's from Europe, so we want to have our wedding back home there. So it's a little complicated with travel.
With our 50-person guest list. So we'll see.
Max.
Is it 50?
It's just under.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're waiting it out and we'll see what happens and go from there.
Yeah, it sort of depends on when everybody else is having their wedding, because you're you got to be there to take pictures for them.
Or we'll just like elope at City Hall and just call it a day.
Yeah.
I'll come take pictures. Well, thank you, everybody. This has been really great. We don't want to go over our time, but I really appreciate your time and value your words. And I hope all the couples got everything out of it. Jenny, I think, put your, oh, there it is. Yep, she's tagged everybody. So feel free, everybody, if you want to reach out to anybody and ask any of the panelists and ask them any questions, that would be amazing. And thank you so much for coming. We have one more summit seminar next week, which is memories. So really, we're taking all this work that you're going to put into this day, and we're going to let you know how to archive it so that it lasts for generations to come. And Lewis will be on that panel again. So we'll see him there, and he'll talk a bit more about videography, and it's going to be really great. So hopefully you can join us for that. Otherwise, thank you, everybody, for being here, and best wishes, and enjoy the planning. That's really what it's about. So thank you.